PR Connections Radio presents
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition, we're going to be doing our series preview of the first round of the 2024 Vegas Golden Knights Dallas Stars matchup. This is going to be an incredible situation. We're going to be going, line by line, really seeing who has the advantage in this series. We'll go forwards, we'll go defense, goaltending, coaching. This is going to be an analysis of really breaking down and looking at side by side between your Vegas Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars. So, should be a fantastic episode. I'm looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it. So here we go. Our Vegas Hockey Hub series preview, Vegas Golden Knights, Dallas Stars, here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I also will say, check out the website, PRConnectionsRadio.com. Check out all of the amazing content we have on the network. We have about a dozen shows on here, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So go to the website. If you also want to go to our social media pages at Vegas Hockey Hub, we are on all social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are everywhere. And if you want to follow your host, I am on social media as well at Ian J. Rachiele on all major social media platforms. I also have to give a shout out to the sponsor of PR Connections Radio, paidperletter.com. So if you go to the website, paidperletter.com, and use the _ Uncle Dan to get started today. So, of course, we always appreciate someone coming on and helping out PR Connections Radio. So go to paidperletter.com /Uncle Dan to get started with that site today. Now, with this series preview, here's how the structure is going to be on this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub. We're going to go with forward line 1 for Dallas and versus forward line 1 for Vegas. And we're going to compare the two and see who has the advantage. Then we'll go forward line 2, forward line 3, forward line 4. So after we cover the forwards, we will then kind of go over the defensive pairings for Dallas and Vegas, and we'll do a kind of similar situation, look at it side by side, and see which defenseman pairing is better, who has the advantage between Vegas and Dallas on that category. We'll do the same for goaltending, and then we will focus on the main battle here, which is the coaching. The coaching is so very important, and there is history between both coaches and their history to your Vegas Golden Knights. So this series preview is going to be fantastic to talk about, and I am really here to say that your Vegas Golden Knights, it is playoff time, Stanley Cup playoffs, and here we go, 2024 series preview, the first round, Dallas versus Vegas. So let's get into the series preview, and let's break this down here on tonight's episode of Vegas Hockey Hub with your host, Ian Rachiele. So forward line 1, okay, the first line, your top tier line when it comes to your forwards. Normally, that is your best left wing, your best center, and your best right wing on the same line. Now, on your Vegas Golden Knights, your left wing is Ivan Barbashev. And Ivan Barbashev, he had a slow start to the year on his first full-time season playing with the Vegas Golden Knights, but then he recovered. And not only did he recover, he actually had a really solid year for your Vegas Golden Knights. This is a guy in Ivan Barbashev who finished out the year with actually some good stats behind him with your Vegas Golden Knights. So, Ivan Barbashev, his statistics in 2023, 2024, 19 goals, 45 points, and a +15. And in terms of durability and consistency, Ivan Barbashev was one of the only 4 players on the Vegas Golden Knights to suit up in every single game for Vegas. So Ivan Barbashev, 19 goals, 45 points. He's good on the defensive side, and more importantly, he has had developed some really good line chemistry with Jonathan Marchessault over the last couple of months. This is a guy in Ivan Barbashev that regardless of who the center was, regardless if it was Jack Eichel or when he got hurt, Nick Waugh, he stepped up and he took over on that first line center. Ivan Barbashev has really benefited and helped out Jonathan Marchessault on this first line. So on that front, you have Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, a top 10 player, an elite sniper in the NHL, 31 goals and 68 points in just 63 games. I mean, what an incredible situation there. Jack Eichel averaged over a point per game. And if it wasn't for Jonathan Marchessault, we would be saying that he would be the goals leader for your Vegas Golden Knights. Just an incredible all-around talent with Jack Eichel. And then Jonathan Marchessault on the right side, an incredible year this year. 42 goals on the season for Jonathan Marchessault in 82 games. Now, the thing about Jonathan Marchessault, we saw what he did in the playoffs last year. We'll have to wait and see how he performs in this playoff series. So the forward line 1 for Vegas is Barbashev, Eichel, and Marchessault. But Jason Robertson is a homegrown superstar with the Dallas Stars. This is a guy in Robertson who ever since drafted in the second round of 2017 has become a bona fide star in Dallas. In this season, he had 29 goals, 80 points in 82 games, and he also had a plus 19 in terms of plus minus. So for Robertson, he has been a solid left wing, a constant on the Dallas Stars side of it. And more importantly, because he's only 24 years old, he is going to keep getting better and better and better at the situation. So you have a star in Jason Robertson who averaged a little under a point per game, 80 points in 82 games. At center, you have Rupe Hines, the 27-year-old. He came over from the international part. They drafted him a couple of years ago. Good second-round pick by Dallas. And the productivity and the durability that Rupe Hines has had with the Dallas Stars, 30 goals and 65 points this season. That is a good measure for Rupe Hines. This is somebody that you really can sit here and look as a stellar guy, a 30-goal scorer out there in Dallas. So that kind of evens out there. So you have a 30-goal scorer in Eichel, you have a 30-goal scorer in Hines. And then on the right wing, you have the veteran who has always been reliable, and that is near 40-year-old Joe Pavelski, who has a 67-point performance this year with the Dallas Stars. Now, comparing it head-to-head with Jonathan Marchessault, his plus-minus is better. Pavelski plus 12, Marchessault minus 2. The points are kind of similar. Jonathan Marchessault, 69 points. Pavelski, 67. So the way I graded this forward line 1 is that, to me, Eichel and Hines kind of even out each other. Okay? Marchessault and Pavelski have kind of even each other out. When you look at their stats and what they do as a member of their respective teams. So I had to see who is better between Robertson and Barbashev. As much as I like Ivan Barbashev, I can't sit here with a straight face and tell you, people around the world, that Jason Robertson is not Ivan Barbashev, because in reality, Jason Robertson is the better player. So for the forward line 1, the advantage does go to Dallas because of how sturdy their first line is. They have a star in Robertson. They have a constant in Pavelski. And then you have a good 30-goal scorer in Hines at the center position. So forward line 1, the advantage does go to Dallas on that area there. But you know what? We'll see what happens on the second line, right? You lose the battle on the first one, but we'll see how Vegas does on the second line. They'll come back. They'll see what happens here. Forward line 2, Chandler Stevenson, who has had a good rebound this season, 16 goals and 51 points this season in Vegas. Chandler Stevenson, he has been a constant on the top 6 for Vegas the past couple of seasons. And Chandler Stevenson and Mark Stone work well together. We saw last year in the playoffs how well they did. And we also saw at the beginning of this year that Stevenson and Stone have amazing chemistry together on that front. Now, Chandler Stevenson is going to be good as a wing, but who's going to be on the opposite side of the wing for Vegas will be your captain, the guy coming back from a lacerated spleen, and that is Mark Stone. Mark Stone, the leader in the locker room, a guy who the Vegas Golden Knights have to count on when it matters the most. And before he got hurt, he had 16 goals, 53 points on the year in just 56 games. So Mark Stone was averaging a little under a point per game before he got hurt by Vegas. And the key acquisition they had at the trade deadline, Tomas Hertl. On that second line, he will be with Stevenson. He will be with Stone. And this is, on paper, one of the best second lines in all of hockey at this point. Stevenson, Stone, and Hertl. That is going to be an incredible second line for your Vegas Golden Knights. But let's look at Dallas. Let's compare. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to be fair. On the second line, Mason Marchment. And this is a guy who came over from the Florida Panthers. He was with the Dallas Stars now. 22 goal scorer, scored about 50 points on the year, but his plus minus is over plus 20 to begin the year. So Mason Marchment, this is somebody who's earned his opportunity in Dallas, and also with him being in his late 20s, he's someone who the Dallas Stars are hopefully going to keep for the long term. They signed him to a long-term deal this past offseason. You have Matt Duchene, the former superstar of the Colorado Avalanche. Now, in his mid-30s, age has caught up to him just a little bit. But hey, even at his age, 25 goals and 40 assists on the year for Matt Duchene. He actually has the most points out of everybody out on this second line graphic. So Matt Duchene, good 65 points this season. And even though he's not the guy I say that he used to be back in the day, he is still a good guy to have on the second line. And then Tyler Seguin, the former Boston Bruin who got traded to Dallas Stars all those years ago, a 25-goal scorer once again in Dallas. Another 50-point season in Dallas for Tyler Seguin. He has been a star. He has been someone who has kind of been a core member of Dallas for a decade now and a good player to have. Now, the issue that I have with Dallas is when it comes to Duchene, when it comes to Seguin, yes, these are two guys, 25 goal scorers. We know what they are about. But similar to what I did with the first forward line, I looked at who is kind of the weakest link in that situation there. Because with Matt Duchene and Tomas Hertl, I would actually sit here and say that Duchene and Hertl, in terms of talent, it's a wash. We know what Tomas Hertl can do, and we know what Matt Duchene can do. Tyler Seguin and Mark Stone, they equal each other as well. So who is better between Stevenson and Marchment? And in my respective opinion, after all the research and all that I have seen, Chandler Stevenson is a better winger than Marchment. So with that being said, the first forward line went to Dallas, but the second line definitely goes to Vegas. Stevenson, Stone, and Hertl, one of the best in all of hockey. Now, getting into the middle six and going to the forward line 3, this is going to be an interesting and kind of controversial take, but hear me out here. So, being at the morning skate, taking footage, talking to a bunch of people, Anthony Mantha, he will be on the third line. He came back from injury. He was wearing a normal jersey and not the red jersey. So Anthony Mantha will be back with your Vegas Golden Knights. He will be in the starting lineup. And in a surprise, it's not Michael Amadio. It's not Pavel Dorofeev, but Brett Howden is on the third line. Defensively, I get it. Brett Howden has done a really solid job defensively. This is somebody who, he only had about 20 points this year in Vegas, but in terms of defensive metrics, he is actually the better out of the three when it comes to defense. Now, Anthony Mantha, a 20-goal scorer before he even got to Vegas. And then you have William Karlsson, who has had a rebound season in Vegas and had 30 goals and 30 assists, a solid 60-point season in Vegas for William Karlsson. But what about Dallas, right? What has Dallas done on this third line? Well, not only do you have Jamie Benn, a guy who, by the way, if anyone does know this, the captain of the Dallas Stars, a guy who's been dependable, someone who the Dallas Stars, ever since they drafted him almost 15 years ago, he has been somebody who has been a mainstay and a considerable face of the franchise at times for the Dallas Stars. Now, he had a 20-goal season this year and racked up another 60-point season on this third line. So you have a 60-point player on this line. Okay, you know what? Maybe that could be a wash, right? Maybe William Karlsson, that would even it out. But what if there was another 60-point player on the third line? Well, Wyatt Johnston has scored 65 points this year on the third line in Dallas. This guy, who was a former first-round pick in Dallas, a former first-round pick who's only 21 years old, he scored 32 goals and 65 points with the Dallas Stars. So as much as I want to sit here and be biased and say that I want to go with Vegas on this line, the fact that you have two 60-point scores in Ben and Johnston, and then you have a really good up-and-coming guy with Logan on that side as well, you have a really good established line with the Dallas Stars on the third line. So unfortunately, your Vegas Golden Knights, they are not on the advantage on this line. So Dallas, for the third line in terms of forwards, they get the edge here because of having two 60-point scores on this line. And then the fourth line, the dependable line, this is where the tide turns to your Vegas Golden Knights. As on the fourth line, you have the line who has been together for years in Vegas, and that is Keegan Kolesar, Nick Waugh, and William Carrier. So William Carrier, who has been out since March 25th, is back in the lineup. He was back on the normal jersey in morning skate for your Vegas Golden Knights, and he is expected to be on the fourth line alongside Carrier, Waugh, and Kolesar on that situation there. Now, statistically, it's hard to say how well this line will do. Nick Waugh is the superstar on this fourth line. He had about a dozen goals this year and hit 40 points on the season for your Vegas Golden Knights. Keegan Kolesar, a big body, someone who defensively, that's why he is on the Golden Knights, a good player to have on the fourth line. So you have a player who has a role on every single line. But Kolesar, a big body, someone who can take the hits, and someone who can give out hits when needed. Nick Waugh, goal scorer, someone who can get the puck in the back of the net. And then William Carrier, he is somebody who has size. He is someone who can score goals, and we saw last year what he can do. But what about Dallas? Well, actually, there's a former Vegas Golden Knight on this fourth line for Dallas. You may recognize the name down below. Evgeny Dadonov on the fourth line for the Dallas Stars. Now, when it comes to him, it's a really interesting situation because you look at his name and you're kind of surprised that he is a fourth line guy. But then when you actually sit here and see that he only had 12 goals this year and barely 25 points on the year, I think that with his age and the fact that he's in his mid-30s now, his production is starting to decline just a little bit. Sam Steele, the former Anaheim Duck, only 9 goals on the year, barely 25 points for Sam Steele. And then when it comes to Ty Dellandrea, this guy only 2 goals on the year, and he actually missed a certain amount of time, only played half the year for Dallas. So for the fourth line, I'm giving the advantage due to line chemistry chemistry, to the fact that they've been together for years, the fourth line goes to Vegas. So to recap this, the first line goes to Dallas. The second line goes to Vegas. The third line goes to Dallas. And then the fourth line goes to Vegas. So it's an even 2-2 split at this moment in time. Because when it comes to the depth of the forwards, Vegas has some things that are more positive and better than Dallas. And then there's some things that Dallas does better than Vegas at that perspective. Now, the defenseman pairing, this is going to be a much different conversation, and you're actually going to see the main strength of Vegas against Dallas. Now, defenseman pairing number one, your top defensive pairing for your Vegas Golden Knights, you have Alex Pietrangelo, who is coming back from appendicitis. He had his appendix removed. I will say for Alex Pietrangelo, I'm happy that he is back in the organization. This is someone who is definitely needed. We missed him a lot. 4 goals this year, 29 assists. But more importantly, when he's not in the lineup, you can tell there's a big shift in how the defense gets played. So Alex Pietrangelo, a big need for your Vegas Golden Knights. And then the guy who just signed a contract extension recently, Noah Hanifin. So Noah Hanifin, he'll be on that first line for years now. But in 80 games this year, 47 points. So for a defenseman to average over a point per game, to average almost a half a point per game, I will say for Noah Hanifin, that is a good situation there. Now, how does it compare to what Dallas has? Now, Miro Heiskanen, this is a guy who's a young, they drafted him in the first round in 2017, 9 goals on the year, 54 points for Dallas. He did exceptional, but he's mostly all you have in Dallas. Like Thomas Harley, this guy, they drafted him in the first round in 2019, and he's a good player. I mean, he's a good defenseman. But when you compare him to Hanifin, to me, Hanifin is better. And when he got Pietrangelo and Heiskanen, they even each other out. And I've been doing this for a lot of this video. Pietrangelo and Heiskanen, they even each other out. So then I go to Hanifin versus Harley, and Hanifin does beat out Harley when it comes to what he does defensively. So the first defensive pairing, that goes to your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the second line for the defensive pairing, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not even going to try to waste my breath on this one. It is Vegas, hands down. Not just because of the chemistry, not just because of the years they have spent together, but Brayden McNabb, one of the best shot blocks of all in the NHL. He blocks so many shots every single year in the NHL, one of the best in hockey. And then Shea Theodore, who's a guy who can get the puck on his stick, get to the right guy. He's able to read certain defenses when he's in the offensive zone. Shea Theodore, fantastic player, one of the most underrated defensemen in the NHL. Dallas, you did get Christopher Tanev. You did acquire him from Calgary. And I will give credit to Tanev. This is a guy who did score 19 points this year. Only 2 goals for the Dallas Stars, unfortunately. But overall, for Tanev, this is a guy who they did bring on as a rental to try to win a Stanley Cup. And then you have Esa Lindell, who has been a mainstay in Dallas since they drafted him over a decade ago. He did score around 25 points this year, so kudos to him. But overall, McNabb and Theodore have the advantage. So for the defenseman pairing number 2, the advantage goes to Vegas. Now, the only defensive pairing that I do question, and I do actually wonder about, is your defenseman pairing 3 for Vegas. Nick Hague, he has done pretty well this year. He does make some mistakes, but you know what? It does happen. He is 25 years old. But for Nick Hague, 12 points on the year, and this is somebody who does kind of help out Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill at certain times. Zach Whitecloud, to me, this is going to be a hot take. This is going to be my opinion, but it is what it is. I would have Alec Martinez be here instead of Zach Whitecloud. I would have put Ben Hutton in over Zach Whitecloud. And the main reason I say this is because of the playoff experience. Alec Martinez has double the amount of playoff experience that Zach Whitecloud has. Alec Martinez is one of the best shot blockers in the NHL. Him and McNabb are normally up the top of the leaderboard over the last couple of years. And it's nothing against Whitecloud's talent, but when I look at defense, I look at playoff experience. And for Nick Hague, if you have Alec Martinez alongside you, it would make the Vegas Golden Knights defensive pairing a lot better. Because Ryan Suter for Dallas, he has been in the NHL for almost 2 decades at this point. The 39-year-old defenseman, he has been an elite defenseman out there in Nashville. He went over to Minnesota for a while. Ryan Suter is a legit defenseman. And then you team him up with a young defenseman in Niles Lundqvist. This is a situation where the Dallas Stars do have Vegas beat because of playoff experience, because you have a guy who has been here and done it throughout his career. So for Ryan Suter and for Niles Lundqvist, this is a situation where I do give the advantage to Dallas here. Now, you are 4-3 at this point, okay? It is 4-3. Vegas does have the advantage, but you'd have 2 categories left here on Vegas Hockey Hub. Goaltending and coaching. And for goaltending, this is going to take a minute. This is not even going to be a contest. I like Adin Hill. I'm a huge fan of Logan Thompson, but come on. Jake Ottinger is an elite goaltender. Jake Ottinger is one of the best in the NHL right now. I cannot sit here and try to sell you on how Adin Hill is better than Jake Ottinger or how Logan Thompson is better than Jake Ottinger. Like when Jake Ottinger got drafted in 2017, which by the way might be the greatest draft class the Dallas Stars ever had. I mean, 2017, you get Jason Robertson, you get Jake Ottinger, and Miro Heiskanen in the same draft class. That was Dallas 2017. But when it comes to the Dallas Stars, the goaltending is key, and Jake Ottinger, overall talent-wise, is better than Adin Hill and better than Logan Thompson. So the advantage goes to Dallas. So it's tied 4-4. So you go down to coaching. And this has to be a tough argument here because you have Bruce Cassidy, a Stanley Cup winning champion, a guy who has helped the Vegas Golden Knights reach the Stanley Cup Finals last year, one of the best and one of the most accomplished head coaches in the NHL. He was incredible in Boston. They let him go. Vegas picks him up. He wins the Stanley Cup. But if there's anybody who knows Vegas frontwards and backwards, it would be this guy right here, Pete DeBoer. Pete DeBoer was our coach for 2.5 seasons. This was a guy in Pete DeBoer who knew our strengths, knew our weaknesses, and is somebody who probably does know still a good amount of players out there in Vegas. I mean, he was in the locker room for all those years. But I have to look at face value. And I have to compare what has Cassidy done lately and what has DeBoer done lately. And I have to look at a Stanley Cup ring that Bruce Cassidy has versus the lack of a one Pete DeBoer has. So, in terms of coaching, the advantage goes to your Vegas Golden Knights. And just like that, the final score on this series preview, your Vegas Golden Knights 5, Dallas Stars 4. And that is the series preview, Vegas Golden Knights, Dallas Stars, breaking it down line by line, pairing by pairing, and coaching by goaltending. So if you like this video and like the rest of the shows that we have, I mean, we're almost at 400 videos. Just wow here on Vegas Hockey Hub. But I will say until then, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Watch all the programming we have on prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. And follow us on social media at Vegas Hockey Hub. And follow me at Ian J. Rachiele. And before we get out of here, darn it, like Amadio. Yeah, I like Amadio too. I think that he should be on the third line instead of Brett Howden, but hey, it's not my call. It is what it is. Reason for defense on the third line to stop Dallas. Yeah, I get that, but you have two 65-point scores on that third line. It's hard to actually overrule them with Vegas. The Knights centers are better overall than Dallas's centers. I mean, to me, it's kind of even because you have Rupe Hines, you have Matt Duchene, and you have Wyatt Johnston. So you have three solid centers with the Dallas Stars. And then Alec Martinez has fallen off too much, but man, the playoff experience would matter so much on that defensive pairing. White Cloud doesn't have the experience enough that Martinez has. So this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and see you next time.